Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority Board of Directors to order at. I'll talk really soon.
Do this 6:31.
At,
I think my time says 6:31.
oh, okay, at 6:31. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Kenneth,
Here.
Director Matthews,
Here.
Director Chapman is not present, Director Sutherland,
Here.
Director Ming Hyde,
Here.
Director Dominguez is not present, Director Gill.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, any members of the public will have the opportunity to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes.
If there are any members of the public who are joining us via Zoom who would like to comment on an item not on the agenda, you may raise your hand and I will call on you. There are none.
Thank you very much. At this time, there's going to be announcement regarding the items to be discussed in closed session. Prior to going into closed session, legal counsel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's one item on closed session, conference with real property negotiator. The details are listed on the agenda.
Okay, and with that, we will convene into closed session at 6:32. Thank you. And the Board of Directors has returned from closed session at 6:48. Legal counsel, are there any reportable actions for the session?
No reportable actions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Now on to the approval of minutes. We will start with the special meeting minutes of June 25th, 2026.
Move to approve.
Do any of the directors have any questions on the special meeting minutes? Are there any members of the public?
If any members of the public have any comments to make on either of the minutes, please raise your hand.
Berlin, I think it's just the special meeting. Okay. Moved by Mosaic approval, second. By Director Kennett, second by Director Chapman. Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland,
Yes.
Director Ming Hyde,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Next we'll move on to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 25th, 2026. Do any of the directors have any questions about the regular meeting minutes of June 25th, 2026? Being none, are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this item?
If any members of the public joining us via Zoom would like to comment on the regular meeting minutes, please raise your hand. There are none.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to.
Director Gill, and a second?
I'll second.
Director Kennett? And clerk, can you please call the vote?
Director Kennett,
Yeah.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland,
Yes.
Director Ming Hyde,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Next is the approval of consent calendar. Do any of the board members want to pull any items from consent? Seeing none. Are there any public comments?
If there are any members of the public joining us via Zoom who would like to comment on the consent calendar, please raise your hand. There are none.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? So moved. Moved by Director Matthews, second by
Second.
Director Chapman. Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland,
Yes.
Director Ming Hyde,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Now we are on to new business. Members of the public will have the opportunity to comment on any matter on new business items following the presentation by staff and board questions. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. And our first presentation is to receive a presentation and accept the expenditure plan annual oversight report for 24-25. And I believe Elizabeth is going to lead us on this.
Yeah, good evening, directors. Elizabeth Loretto, Administrative Operations Manager. Just a quick introduction from me. We'll be hearing tonight from David Burkhardt, the Chair of the Expenditure Plan Oversight Committee, who will be presenting that annual oversight report. So David, we'd like to welcome you to the podium.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and
Mike and then the arrows would.
thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate the OSA Board of Directors and the staff and the some of the folks who have been supporting the Expense Planning Oversight Committee. I have two missions tonight, is to report on the annual report of the Expenditure Plan Oversight Committee, EPOC for short. And to keep this short, I know that the board is going to be especially busy. You've got a Measure D to plan out, and then there's a big change coming in the executive side of the house, and you know, those are that's we understand it's a big load on you. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. Every year we make this report on the expenditures in the OSA. And this year is not, there's no surprises, nothing new. If you were here last year, you're going to hear many of the same things. But you know, we are, you know, not introducing anything new this year. So this will go quickly. Executive summary. It's we report on the findings on Measure Q and T. We make a few recommendations and we report on last year's recommendations to the board. The annual audit report and from the independent auditor. Again, nothing new. You know, we get a general summary of the expenditures and their findings, and there was nothing that we found in the in our committee that was out of line. And you have to recognize that EPOC is a group of citizens that you know, most of us have no background in project engineering or in hard accounting, but we do ask a lot of questions, and the staff has always been responsive and provided very clear comments for us. And then we're going to talk about the transaction reviews that we do every year. So first, like, who are we and what we do? We meet 4 times a year. We review the expenditures on an annual basis. We review the expenditure plan status report and the independent finance auditor. And typically, it's just a brief summary where he or probably she will either in a live interchange, we ask questions, and there's, again, nothing new, nothing out of line, there's nothing to be concerned about. So we report our findings, and we make recommendations. And for the first time since I've been on the committee, we're fully staffed with 7 members. So that's good to see. So you can see the members there. I'm not pictured. My name is David Burkhardt, and it's because I'm not the pretty one. So they leave me out of the picture here. So again, we review the independent auditor's report, and you know, we find that it's in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And so between the independent auditor and Justina, we seem to be satisfied. Again, there's some interviewing or some questions that we always bring up. The folks on EPOC have a lot of insight, and they're smart, and we feel like we represent the public. We're part of that Measure Q deal that the OSA makes with the public, Measure T, and now Measure D, right? So it's we feel that we're the eyes and ears of the public, and we ask the questions that a lot of the folks would ask, and we're going to get to some recommendations at the end. Measure D has been a challenge, I know, for the OSA. It wasn't overwhelmingly voted for, but fortunately it passed, and for good reason. If you read the social media and you read the comments and you read the Mercury Review, we saw that there was lot of questions, some were legitimate and, but, you know, they were asking, why another tax? And, you know, there's, I guess, questions on, is there oversight? And we believe that we're providing some of that service. So, let's move on here. Administrative expenses, real quick. No funds were used to pay administrative costs on the Epic side. And the Epoch annual report didn't exceed 0.1% of the gross proceeds of the parcel tax. So we work for free essentially, and we're glad to do it. Anyway, administrative. So we look as we dive deeper into the review. We measure. We look at the 4 program categories and can read them up here. Protect open space, and the essentially the lands that the OSA manages. We protect, we look at the protection of the land, creeks, and how is it? Streams, prevent pollution, improve local water quality and supply, improve and maintain preserves, open spaces, trails, and one of the things that you know, create the urban open space preserves and environmental education programs. Something that when you hear the public talk about the OSA, it's really all about trails. This is what you're hearing, but you know, we recognize that there's a lot of work that's done within the city, grants, and the education programs, and you know, we at least acknowledge all those activities that the OSA provides, and it's we find that very enriching. So diving deeper, we and I'll summarize what we're doing here. We look at 4 expenditure categories, which is measures Q and T, essentially break down into the planning services for the Coyote Valley conservation areas, the wetland enhancements and wildlife assistance, the resource management and public access activities, and the urban space grant program. So there's plenty of programs, and we do not look at every single one, but what we do, and so what we do is we do look at all the programs, and the committee members pick out, let's say, programs that they're interested in. And then we do an assessment of each one of those. So what we're looking at is a lot of the paperwork as far as procedures, how the, you know, are the signatures there? Are the, you know, do the numbers add up? And are they in line with the plan? So, and we've been doing this for several years, and we call them this, you know, it's the sample transaction audits. So to be clear, it's not all the programs, it's a select few. So there's 2 from the, you know, you can see the breakdown of how many we looked at. And we look at those in detail. That's really the bulk of our work. We take the paperwork home and we study. And again, we are not accountants or, but we have enough information. Plenty of us have worked corporate, we've worked budgets, we've worked grants. So we have a feeling of what we should be expecting, and if there's a question that had, you know, if we have a mystery, you know, we ask the questions and they've always been answered clearly, always. So, there's, you know, no working around. And if they can't get back with us now, it's always the next day, during a further on meeting. So anyway, that's you know, that's the bulk of our work. So this slide is essentially kind of a reiteration of the previous slide. And one of the things that you'll notice, the very last one is the payroll summaries. We are looking at essentially labor that's rather than looking at just numbers, expenses, dollars and numbers, we're looking at actual labor associated with the period of performance of the fiscal year 24 and 25. And last year we looked at 23 and 24, and the year before that we looked at you know, and so on. But anyway, so as we go year by year, we're looking for specific, we're getting smarter and looking at specific items, items where you know, there could be all the programs, of course, they don't start and end at the fiscal year. They overlap. So, you know, we're always focusing on the period of performance. And on this report, it covered 24 and 25. And so all the documentation seemed to be in order. All the expenses, all the approvals, everything seemed to be in order. And we were satisfied that they were handled properly. Again, we looked 3 years ago, we started looking at the labor hours. And this is where at least some of us thought, okay, numbers seem to jibe, but what about the labor categories that were assigned to the project? So I just want to give you an example. I was following the Mayan Yakima project from the essentially the initial period through the construction effort, and then now it's sort of in a sustaining level of effort going on at that site. And so again, we're not project managers. We do have project management experience, but what we're looking for obvious issues. For instance, at this point, the grant, let's say, for example, the grant processes, right, should be minor if they're there at all. The planning should be minor if they're there at all, right? 2 years ago, you know, we didn't have, let's say, technicians providing, you know, we're charging against the program. So technicians, and staff that were actually doing building and sustaining and maintenance, they appear towards this period. And so that was something that we wanted to look at, and we started off with one project, and that was the big one, and it was the one that you know, I chose that because it was, to me, the most interesting one, and one that I could follow, and I think that any citizen could follow too. And so if you hear of the folks who say, oh, you know, there's money going into the OSA, a lot of money, and we don't want to, you know, how are they spending it? We want to direct them to our report. And one of our recommendations is make our reports clear so that people can find it in the website. It's one of the things that we thought was lacking. We'll get to that in a bit. So our recommendations, let's look at our previous year's recommendations. All these essentially are fairly minor, but when we looked at the list of all the expenditures, we didn't need to look at the ones with a value of less than $1,000. So that was taken out. There was just some wording in the second bullet there, just wording as far as what we wanted to see. Again, it was minor wording. It makes it easier for we understand in EPOC, but maybe someone looking at the detail may not understand. So this just makes processing those and analyzing documents clearer.
Excuse me, David?
Yes,
Can you get the microphone?
sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And then the third bullet has to do with what I just mentioned about the payroll analysis. There was this suggestion that perhaps we look at the RACI documents. And so when we discussed with staff, we learned that maybe the RACI documents was not exactly what provide us with our needs as far as staffing levels and staffing plans for the certain for the period of performance that we were looking at. So when we get to this next slide, first bullet is that instead of being issued the RACI documents, that staff would give us essentially would give us a summary of what their plans are, the type of labor categories that would be working. And we believe that was satisfactory as far as when we do our analysis. So that's the first bullet. And then the second bullet, include the project names in the pivot tables. And if you're not familiar with that, we usually just see a number, then we have to go to another table to find the project names. So it's really just a simple process adjustment. And then based on our the time card audit, we would like to see the project names again. When someone sees project 28, we have to go and look up another document and find out what that is. So we've agreed that, okay, next time they do the reports, the project number and name will be shown on there. So then finally, what I just mentioned, it's difficult to find the annual reports in the website. So if that could somehow be made more easily found, we would appreciate it. And it would be something we can point to, when folks ask, who's keeping an eye on the OSA, at least we have some documentation that says, oh yeah, we're looking at it. So anyway, that's our recommendations. And the staff has these already. So, next year we'll be able to follow those. Okay, so I mean that is essentially that's the report. Again, no surprises, nothing new. We acknowledge that, and we recognize that there's a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline in labor hour reporting. I know that's difficult. I used to be a project manager, and getting the guys, getting the women to, turn in that time card every week is a hassle. So, but it's important. And again, we recognize that, and it's something that I think the OSA should be proud of, because it doesn't always happen in organizations. So yeah, and we would like staff members have always come in when we needed them, and if we had questions, the Ms. Rauscher and Caroline and Loretta, Elizabeth would make sure that they were there to answer questions. And they were very helpful. I mean, they kind of understood why we were asking them. They didn't go into a bunch of jargon. It was pretty clear what they were talking about, and we could understand them. So appreciate it. Ms. Rauscher, Tien, Elizabeth Loretto and Caroline been very helpful and very provided a lot of guidance and expertise for us. It makes our job essentially easier. And so the EPOC is, I think, pretty ready for the Measure D items that are coming up. And we've seen the plans of what we'd like, what's going on out in the field, and it's kind of exciting. And you won't find a bigger set of OSA fans in that EPOC committee, where there's plenty of enthusiasm, and I think that they're the group is ready for what's coming up. All right. So are there any questions?
Through the chair, could I just, thank you, David. I just thought, since you mentioned a couple times the RACI framework,
Mhm.
I was hoping maybe Nick, you might just talk about that just for a second, because I bet some board members don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's something I brought from San Francisco, for better or worse, but it's a chart that defines roles and responsibilities across a project team. So whether someone is responsible, generally the project manager, accountable, which is usually their manager, supporting or informing. I think I'm missing a letter. Consulting, thank you. So like a in-house expert. So what staff often do, but not for every project, but especially big projects, we create a chart that helps us identify who's doing what before the project starts.
Thank you. That's very
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah, thanks for that. I just being a project manager, when we would present, a design review or any sort of review, 1-inch stack of papers, we'd lay it down in front of the customer. They would always go through and look at those timelines, those Gantt charts, so they could, in their heads, put costs and labor types to the period of, in the context of time. So it's one of the things that we look for. And if staff, the projects here, if staff can summarize it in 5 minutes for the projects that we pick, that's perfect. We don't need long PERT and Gantt charts and everything. An explanation, I think, would be fine. So thank you, Ms. Perry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I believe Director Chapman had a question or comment.
Thank you, Dave, and I appreciate your service and doing this work. And I think now, and I also want to thank you for bringing up what I've experienced as well with, with passing a Measure D and the online comments and the next door and
Yeah.
it's like, why did I do that?
Uh-huh.
But it's good to know, right? I
Uh-huh.
think it's good to know what people are thinking, and so that you can address those concerns. So going forward, are you going to take into account some of those comments that you see, or interacting with the public and making sure, because you're going to be able to start Measure D off right year one, so you're not coming into it, you're going to be able to start, so you might be able to have some thoughts on how you want to increase the level of transparency around that.
Yeah, thank you for that question. We, essentially, the EPOC committee has been willing and has been, ready to take on, the new challenges. And if there was, and just speaking for myself, if there's a way we can address concerns with the public. Again, we consider ourselves eyes and ears inside of the OSA for the public. If we can address those in a more effective way, we'll go for it. And we'll take suggestions from the board, from the staff, from anyone, and see how we can do that better. But yeah, I appreciate that comment. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
And one other question, when you do the samples, do you pick the items that you want to review, or does someone provide that to you?
That's a good question, and maybe I should have provided a sample of how we do that, and that's a good point. We do get a list of questions, and mainly it's yes and no. Where the signatures there, did the numbers add up? Did we did things make sense? Could you find all the documentation that you needed? And then there's room for comment. And that's where some of these recommendations come from. I didn't see, it was inconsistent. And a lot of the stuff is a lot of these analysis are done in real time, where someone might say, I didn't see numbers add up to the total. And Justina was fabulous. She was on top of it, and she could explain to us, if what would appear as a discrepancy, it made sense. And we never could stump her. So
I agree, she's great.
yeah, I think the OSA is lucky to have her. But yeah.
If I may,
Yeah.
Just through the chair,
Yes.
Director Chapman, just a little bit to add on to what David's shared here. On the sampling, the committee is provided a list of every transaction that occurred over $1,000. And that's where they choose their samples from. And then as David indicated, there's a form and a process for that. But then also the other piece, your question about Measure D transparency, I think in some ways that's going to start with the board, because accounting prepares the measure, it prepare the expenditure report to the board first. So if you feel there should be additional transparency, it really can start there with you. And then the EPOC's charge is to implement in their review process. So I think that's a really great question. And we have some runway to figure out exactly how we're going to bring Measure D into the process of a couple years' time, but before we're actually expending that money. So if the board wants to see more or different transparency in response to public inquiry and comment, there's a lot of great opportunity to think about how we do that in the various steps of this reporting process.
Fantastic. Dave, so I look forward to working with you on that. This will be exciting.
I'm glad that you're asking this question. And first of all, I will make sure that in future iterations that we include some copies, examples of our sample transactions. So that should give you a really good idea of, what we're looking for in particular, and maybe some of our comments. But I'll pass that on.
I'm gonna turn to Director Matthews. She has a question.
Okay.
Not really a question, just please extend our thanks to the committee. It's so reassuring to know that you're looking with a fine tooth comb at the workings of our organization. It's also reassuring to know that you're not finding any problems or faults with our magnificent staff. So between the three entities, I think we're in very good shape. And it's very good to know that you're ready for Measure D. Because that's gonna be, you know, a huge waterfall coming in. It's good to know that you're prepared for it. So please thank the committee and thank you. for the
yes,
Presentation.
I shall, yeah.
you.
Thanks for that comment.
I believe Dr. Gill.
Thank you, David, for your service and you and your team. I really say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Actually, whatever the question I want to ask, so Director Chapman already asked before me, and I think I don't want to repeat the question again. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the board, thank you very much for all that.
Yeah.
I had one more question, it's a little burning question. What exactly is 0.1% of that you're limited to? You can't possibly come anywhere near that number.
Oh, it's just a small portion, I think, you know, when they write us the check. No, they don't. No, I think it's just to limit the expenses that the EPOC committee incurs and the administrative load on that.
But I'm just wondering what that number would have been, because
I do not remember the number directly offhand, but it's of the order of magnitude of 4 figures. You know, it's just a few $1,000s, and it is for packet preparation time, the committee's time. They often meet during the time of day that a meal might be provided.
no, I'm just,
Those types of things, but it's just
the cap might be much higher than the actual expense.
Yes,
the actual expense is really just a few $1,000s.
thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So I would also like to express my thanks to the EPOC committee and all the good work that you do. And
Mhm.
thank you for coming here this evening and
Yeah.
presenting to us. We really do appreciate it.
Yes, and we appreciate you guys and good luck. Good luck, Andrea, and you know, we wish you the best. And if there's any other questions, I can hang around.
We
Oh.
do need to take a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay,
I do think that we need
I move to
to accept the
accept.
expenditure plan annual oversight report. Dr. Gills,
And I'll second since I asked so many questions.
Dr. Chapman will second. And if we could please have a roll call vote.
Director Kenneth,
Yes.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland,
Yes.
Director Ming Hyde,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you again for coming up.
all right. Thank you.
The second item on the agenda is to review and approve an amendment, the first amendment to the adopted fiscal year 26-27 budget in the amount of $73,671.20 to extend the graphic information system GIS technician's employment to 12 months. And Elizabeth, I believe that you will be presenting to us. Thank you.
Yes, again, good evening, directors. Just for the formality, Elizabeth Loretto, Administrative Operations Manager. Thank you so much for the thorough reminding us all of the recommendation. So to take us back just to last month, the Board of Directors approved our fiscal year budget for 26-27 on June 11th, 2026. And this did include a GIS technician position from July 2026 through October 2026. So at the time, it was a temporary position for those 4 months. I can do math, I promise. And what we're here to discuss today is extending that position for the remainder of the fiscal year and then converting it to be a regular position that would be presented in the budget every year, just like all the other positions currently on our org chart and in our staffing plans. And just a reminder, years ago, actually, this position was first created in March of 2020, and we did have 2 permanent GIS technician positions for a couple of years there, and then tried a different model for a little while. And those last couple of years, the GIS program has just really expanded into a more collaborative and interdepartmental service that provides especially like resources, especially to agency-wide initiatives. They develop digital tools. They're very helpful in our stewardship of the land and knowing what's going on in the land, as well as, of course, helping generate maps. You all will remember the Badger project that was so successful last year. Wonderful work like that. So continuing this position advances the program's momentum in using technology to scale land management and stewardship activities in the most efficient manner and in close partnership with field and natural resources. Making the position a regular full-time position supports the program's ability to meet the needs of all of our staff currently served by the program, as well as to continue developing efficient systems for future agency growth. A couple of specific objectives to highlight. There are some more that were included in your report, but is that this position in the coming fiscal year, or I guess the current fiscal year, is conducting fieldwork and training of staff on our Authority Atlas project, which is building out the large database of all of our resources and assets across our lands. So they'll be doing a collection of inventory of infrastructure on Authority lands that support maintenance, stewardship, as well as even helping us keep track of our insured assets out at the various properties. Lots of producing of maps for projects, grants, documents, things on the website, and contributing to design of digital monitoring programs for upcoming CV Camp implementation projects, field work to survey and plan for CV Camp stepping stone projects that are coming soon and things like that. So with that, I'm happy to take your questions about this budget amendment.
Thank you. Dr. Gill.
Yeah. Since you just said that 2020, you have 2 GIS technicians. So, those 2 is still existing. What is the reason why we stopped that? First question.
So in the past, we had a conservation GIS program manager who did GIS work as well as some of the hydrology work that's now being done by other staff and other conservation policy works. It was kind of a very hybrid, unique position. And then that position was on the books for many years. And then we brought in a GIS technician. In 2022, by chance, both of those individuals, due to life changes during the COVID season, moved out of the area and resigned their positions. And at the time when we were relooking at our GIS needs, we were also looking at the future of the natural resources program and things like that. So we took the hydrology there. We brought a GIS, a more advanced level GIS position on, which is Anna McGarrigle, our GIS administrator. Actually now GIS program manager, right? No, administrator. I'm tired. GIS administrator is her current title. And we had her solo for a few years. And then last year for the Badger project, we brought in Lillian in a temporary capacity to help us start with that, but she's taken on more GIS.
So it means, so we already had 2 positions before, right?
We did.
So we have the budget for that in 2020.
In 2020, we did, yes.
So then 2022, because when we have COVID, then both positions or both employees moved out, right?
Correct.
So then those positions will, I think, maybe open, or you.
We kept one of them and the other one kind of got repositioned into some of the natural resources roles because it included the hydrology work and things like that.
So then you guys hire another temporary for that position, GIS technician, and now you are going to permanent then.
Correct. So we would like to take the currently temporary position, and this person's been with us for a year at this point, and make them permanent so that we can rely on their services and continue building out the program.
So mean you are looking to amend the budget from October to the next fiscal year?
Correct. And then for fiscal year 27-28, just like any positions, we will.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? And are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this item?
If there are any members of the public joining us via Zoom who would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to? Thank you. To approve this. And second by Director Ming Hyde.
Director Kenneth,
Yes.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland.
Yes.
Director Mang Hyde.
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That passes unanimously. And thank you for bringing this to us, Elizabeth.
Of course, thank you.
New business item number 3 is receive presentation on Coyote Valley Discovery Days community engagement and update on the Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan. We have Jennifer and Nick Perry presenting along with some really big slides.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Good evening, directors. Nick Perry, Long Range Planning Manager, Coyote Valley Project Director, joined here tonight by Jennifer Peth to give you an update on all things Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan with the focus on what we did this past spring. Also have Aaron Abear in the audience to, he's our right-hand man for all these natural resources. So if any questions come up for that, he's also here. So tonight's presentation, I'll start with just a brief project background as I always do. I'll then turn it over to Jen to talk about our spring outreach and the takeaways we had from that outreach. I'll then come back and do a quick look ahead to what's coming for CV Camp in the next, 2 years, and then questions and discussion with you all. So project background, this image that you've all seen many times, but looking west across Coyote Valley towards the Santa Cruz Mountains, the golden area is the area that's the focus of the Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan. It's now at 1,674 acres. That's a third bigger than it was when we started the project. So we've grown by 530 acres since 2020. We are, of course, the lead agency on this work with our core partners, the other land owning entities, Peninsula Open Space Trust, and the City of San Jose, all working together to plan the future restoration, public use, and agricultural uses on those golden shaded lands. The project is divided into kind of 2 main teams, focused on these 10 goals. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the Connecting People to Coyote Valley team. The consultant firm we're working with on that is CMG Landscape Architecture. And then on the right, you have the Coyote Valley Landscape Linkage team. The consultant team we're working with on that is HT Harvey and Associates, now known as Integral Consulting, or they're changing over to that name. And in the middle, we have a series of goals where the 2 teams are overlapping, things like transportation planning, local agriculture, and both teams are helping us with that. I'd also like to note we have 3 on-call advisors that are helping with the project that we have separate contracts with. We have a water resources advisor, Jim Robbins from Alness Ecological, agricultural advisor, Sabella Kraus from Sage, and an environmental planning advisor, Dan Secular. And these are small contracts of people we can call up for expert advice. So the project's timeline, the beginning was really spent doing lots of site assessments, lots of studies. Then we moved into visioning, what's the big picture, and what the focus was in spring was really the design concepts, the restoration concepts, the public use and access concept, the ideas for agriculture. And with the consultant team that I just mentioned, they only came on board 15 months ago. So we've been working with them for the past year plus to create all the concepts that we then shared out with the public. And then looking ahead, we'll be moving to concept site plan development. And I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the presentation. But to tell you all about what we did this spring, I'll turn it over to Jen.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Nick. And again, Jennifer Peth, Senior Open Space Planner, and I'm the Assistant Project Manager for the Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan, or CV Camp. So the authority embarked on an ambitious outreach and engagement plan for spring 2026. So with the release of design concepts, which are a really important milestone in the planning process, we wanted to continue to raise awareness about Coyote Valley generally and hear from the public about their preferences on the CV Camp scenarios under consideration, really focusing on the public access and agricultural destinations, while also sharing out information about the exciting habitat restoration planning work underway. So we've brought in these props that you see behind me, to the left and the right, that were part of our spring outreach kit to help you get a sense for the look and feel of the outreach work over the past few months. So Coyote Valley Discovery Days was a mix of online and in-person events. The kickoff webinar coinciding with the first day of spring, March 20th.
This was followed by a series of in-person events throughout San Jose, Morgan Hill, and Coyote Valley. And we had three primary goals through that spring engagement. That was to continue to raise awareness about Coyote Valley, as I mentioned, engage new audiences in family-friendly and fun and creative ways, which I'll get into a little bit about how we attempted that, and then seeking feedback on CV Camp alternatives from the general public, key demographics, and other stakeholders. I want to mention here also that that a majority of this work was funded through an engagement grant that we have with the State Coastal Conservancy as well. So to support spring outreach, we developed a mobile CV Camp exhibit. The mobile exhibit was anchored by 5 large banners, which you can see at the top of the screen, and the examples that you can see behind me. The concept was that these would form a walkthrough style exhibit where people could learn about Coyote Valley, where it's located, about the focal species, key water features and proposed habitat restoration concepts, and about the proposed public access and agricultural amenities and open space destinations. Much appreciation goes to our communications team, including Charlotte Graham, who helped conceptualize these designs and bring them to life. So the banners were supplemented with a 3D map of Coyote Valley, shown here. So this was really priceless for drawing people to the exhibit and engaging with the public in conversations about Coyote Valley's role in regional wildlife connectivity. We were also offering in-person voting, asking people which open space destination they would be most excited to visit in the future. And I'll share the results of this voting a little later in the presentation. And so lastly, through the mobile exhibit, we were directing people online to take the CV Camp Spring Survey. So the exhibit was scalable, could be made larger or smaller depending on the event. So, but some of the largest events where we deployed the mobile exhibit, you can see here. So a number of you may have seen this setup in person at some of these events. For 2 of these large events, we partnered with our in-house education team to bring family-friendly activities and craft stations. And we're joined by our partners from Youth Science Institute to bring live animals, local wildlife, such as the king snake you might be able to see being held in the lower left-hand photo. Our partners at Post attended all 3 events, and at all 3 events, we additionally had an OSA outreach booth. So through Coyote Valley Discovery Days events, we aimed to partner with other organizations in the community to broaden our reach. For the events, partnering with Santana Row and the City of Morgan Hill, an association of university women, to put on or support Earth Day events. And we partnered with the Children's Discovery Museum in San Jose for a spring festival. This helped to draw larger audiences through the synergy with partners. So you can see the attendee numbers there at the events, and then over through all of the CV Camp CV Camp focused outreach in the spring, we reached over 1,600 people in person. Some of the key takeaways from that in-person engagement through this spring, many attendees were learning about Coyote Valley for the first time. Despite that, event attendees expressed strong support for wildlife connectivity goals, and the wildlife was a real draw for people. There was excitement and interest in visiting future destinations, and excitement and interest in Coyote Valley, but again, not a lot of background knowledge or familiarity necessarily. But that was, again, part of the goals to reach new audiences. So Coyote Valley Discovery Days was intended for a broad general audience. And we additionally held targeted outreach events. So we gave presentations on site in Coyote Valley to a group from Bay Area older adults and No Worries Amigo. We held an agriculture-focused meeting in partnership with the South County Farmers Association. And to reach underrepresented members of the community, we offered guided hikes in Coyote Valley at the North Coyote Valley Hilltop with some of the other organizations that you see listed there. And through this engagement, our goals were to reach members of the accessibility community, youth, and non-English speaking members of the public. And for the guided hikes, the authority provided transportation to the site and interpreters if needed, as well as lunch. Again, we were able to provide these things through our State Coastal Conservancy engagement funding. And as part of the hike, attendees learned about Coyote Valley and completed the spring survey. So I'll now transition to some of those spring survey results. So as a reminder, this was not a scientific survey. This is one tool that we're using to help aid decision making. The results are representative of the people who were interested enough to take the survey based on the outreach that we did. So the survey ran from March 20th to May 31st. We distributed via the methods you see here, but the Open Space Authority's newsletter and blog post. We mailed over 1,300 postcards to Coyote neighbors in Coyote Valley. We had flyers and postcards we put out at local gathering places as well as at our open space preserves. We did other tabling and guided hikes. Through social media, we made over 700,000 impressions on CV Camp related material through the spring. Again, shout out to our communications team. And then by collaborating with partners, we were able to leverage their reach by posting on community calendars, partner newsletters, and their social media posts. So surveys were distributed in English, Chinese, Spanish, and Vietnamese. We received 930 responses overall, the majority of which were submitted online. We received about 30 surveys in languages other than English, a majority of which came from the in-language guided hikes that we offered. So we're hoping to improve our response rate in future phases of the project and in other languages, and are ideating with our communications team on how to do so. We received zip codes from over 80% of survey respondents, showing the distribution of local respondents on the map here on the screen. Based on the table on the right, you can see major representation from Morgan Hill, as well as neighborhoods around San Jose and also Gilroy. Notably, the top responding neighborhoods in San Jose are located in proximity to the project area, so including Santa Teresa, Avenida España, and Los Paseos. As in this graph, you are seeing age demographic information of survey respondents. The orange bars represent the age of the survey respondents, and the blue bars represent the age of those who respondents indicate joins them when they're out in nature. This demographic distribution of respondents by age is typical of past surveying we have done for CV Camp, with the greatest number of responses received from age groups of 50 plus, and thus the reason for some of our targeted outreach and guided hikes for youth, including high school and middle school groups this spring. Many respondents are coming with a variety of age groups, and we see a more representative spread when we asked people, again, the ages of those who they're typically spending time out in nature with. We asked about the current connections to Coyote Valley between living and visiting, driving, and so on. We see the majority of respondents, or approximately 65%, indicate they come to Coyote Valley to visit open spaces and parks. An audience that is likely familiar with the Open Space Authority and perhaps the CV Camp project. On the flip side, nearly 15% of respondents indicate that they rarely or never spend time in Coyote Valley. This could be an audience that was reached through some of our spring engagement efforts. And I'll say also consistent with past surveying, people want to come to Coyote Valley predominantly to enjoy nature, but also to exercise. Other responses were split between things like learning about nature, visiting local farms, and spending time with family and friends. We asked people about their interest in future stewardship of Coyote Valley and received broad interest in things like data collection, land steward activities, and supporting facilities that were associated with restoration activities and environmental education. So the survey was focused on the built amenity types for people to enjoy, so things that people would use or interact with. So in the next section of the survey, we focused on potential future amenities specific to public access, agriculture, and recreation. And on the public access side, this includes things like bus shelters and staging areas, a welcome and education center, shaded seating, wildlife overlooks, and wetland boardwalks.
Yeah, I don't know if you all had a question. Can we kind of pause every now and then to see if there are any, because this, I think it's going to be a dense presentation.
Okay. Happy to take a question.
The reason, like I always tell, whenever is just moving on, then at the end I forget everything. So then I want to be whatever in my mind, I just want to be asked. Actually, the couple previous, no, that's okay. So I saw the attendees. So there are three different event there in person, 167 attendees, 450 and 419 or something. So whenever you just taking the attendees, so you guys take any information from them, or how you guys can know that? So it's 167, any their name, email address or phone number, or?
No, we do not collect, did not collect information about that, or information about people who attended those events.
So how you can just come to that, just
The clicker, a people counter clicker. And we had a Coyote Valley seasonal aide this spring, who was very adept with the
no,
clicker.
my question was really is that because when from one actually event to the other event, I want to just see that some people just moving, I mean, repeating their event or not. That's my main goal is that if one person go in one event, so they go to the other event also, or it's always is a new?
There were about 9-ish events that were included in the Coyote Valley Discovery Days. I attended almost all of those events, and between the 400 people or so at Morgan Hill and the 400 people that we saw at Santana Row, I can just about safely say that I did not see any repeat folks. And then those were again just the 3 largest events that we held, and then there were a number of other smaller events that reached that 1,600 overall visitors.
Thank you. Any other? Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. Yeah. Okay, so great. So this were again through the survey. We were asking about those public access amenities that people and about their interest in them. I'll just finish up with included in this kind of public access set was other interpretive features and nature play area. And then on the agriculture and restoration focused amenity side, we have things like a farmer hub, educational barn, and farm stand, as well as an agricultural demonstration area. And then on the restoration side, we asked about a native plant nursery, a native grassland demonstration area, learning gardens, and hedgerows. So we asked respondents for their opinion about how important each amenity was, providing 2 example photos and a brief description of each amenity. There was widespread support for all amenity types, as you can see on the screen here, particularly those which connected people directly with nature and restored habitat, including a wildlife overlook, native grassland demonstration area, wetland boardwalk, and native plant nursery, all in the top 5 for which respondents indicated they would find this amenity very important. Agricultural focused amenities tended to receive somewhat less support. For all 9 built amenity types shown at the top half of the screen, between 50 and nearly 80% of respondents indicated this amenity was either important or very important to them. But again, there was generally support for all of the amenity types, with over 60%, up to 90% of respondents indicated the amenity was at least moderately important. So in the next section of the survey, we asked about the 4 conceptual open space destinations. And as a reminder, these are Laguna Seca Overlook beginning in the north. This could be a new wildlife overlook over a restored Laguna Seca. The Hillview Hub, a hilltop trail and overlook at the corner of Santa Teresa and Bailey. This site could have a staging area, potential restoration, gardens, outdoor classroom, and picnic areas. The Coyote Valley Field Station, this site is adjacent to the existing Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve and could have expanded parking areas serving a welcome and education center. Agricultural demonstration area, native grassland demonstration area, and other interpretive features. The agricultural gateway located at the corner of Palm and Santa Teresa. Amenities here could include an educational barn or farm stand, farmer serving amenities to potentially include housing, and connection to the other destinations via trails. So we asked survey respondents about the maximum suite amenities that were under consideration for each of these destinations. At the Laguna Seca Overlook, over 70% of respondents indicated that they would be very interested or extremely interested in visiting the destination. And when asked to select which 3 amenity types they would be most like to see at this destination, respondents' top choices were a multi-use trail, a wildlife overlook, and outdoor shaded seating area. At the Hillview Hub, again, over 70% of respondents indicated that they would be very or extremely interested in visiting this destination. And the top 3 amenities they would most like to see there included Hilltop Trail and Overlook, which is unique to the site, a staging area, and multi-use trail. And you'll start to notice a pattern with some of these responses. At the Coyote Valley Field Station, over 70% of respondents indicated that they would be very or extremely interested to visit the site. And top 3 amenities here were multi-use trail, staging area, and welcome and education center. And at the Agricultural Gateway, just over 60% of respondents indicated that they would be very or extremely excited to visit the destination. And the top 3 amenities at this site were the farm stand, multi-use trail again, and staging area again. So to compare the 4 destinations to each other, we see at the top of the screen that over 76% of respondents would be either very or extremely interested in visiting the Laguna Seca Overlook, and the Hillview Hub received the most or the highest ranking extremely interested responses, with Laguna Seca and Coyote Valley Field Station closely behind. Over 800 attendees voted at in-person events through the spring on these 4 destinations. And the destination that received the most interest was the Coyote Valley Field Station. One thing to note is we had a lot of interactions with families and kids at these events. Anecdotally, attendees were really excited about the educational and nature-based play components of that site. We received over 160 written responses to open-ended or write-in options in the survey, and these varied from comments like you see in the orange bubbles on the left-hand side of the screen. So these emphasized providing built amenities for people to enjoy, and more broadly, opening the properties to public access. Other comments like those represented by the turquoise bubbles, more on the right-hand side of the screen, emphasize the conservation values of the property and more interest in leaving the CB camp area as natural as possible. Other comments like the bubble on the lower right-hand corner said, hey, don't rely on public opinion, do what the experts think is best. So these comments represent, some of the challenges the project team is navigating, the push and pull that we've been balancing from the outset of the project across the project goals.
And Jennifer, I think Director Chapman had any comment or question.
Yes, I'm teeing off Director Gill's, ask the question why it's up. So you had a slide on surveys always fascinate me.
Yeah.
So you had a slide that showed age breakdown.
Mhm.
And then you had a slide of, the priorities by subject area. Did you do cross tabs on the subject area by age? Because I was noticing that play was coming in low. So my natural assumption is the over 65 crowd was their opinions were rising to the top.
I will say we looked at that one specifically, and the age range that had expressed the highest level of interest in nature play area was, I believe, the 25 to 30 or maybe 35 to, it was in the middle age range.
Because I'm just curious because as a board member, we have to maybe rethink our outreach, and maybe we're really good at reaching our age group, but we're not really good at reaching the younger generations.
I will say I also
They're
looked at
all out there, yeah.
the 18-year-olds were kind of
Yeah.
so on nature play.
Yeah, right. They probably don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Gill.
So, a quick question. So how you know the age then? How do you calculate this is a 60, it's not discrimination?
It was an optional question on the survey to indicate your age.
Dr. Mayheim.
So at this point, and perhaps there'll be more in your next slides, was there anything that you were surprised about that you really didn't anticipate?
we just mentioned nature play. I think we were interested to see actually at how little support that received, that one in particular. It's something that would be, new for the Open Space Authority. It's been popular in other areas, but again, people, there wasn't, it was again, the general interest. Otherwise, I would say, we've been asking kind of as we've done these surveys throughout the project, we're kind of refining the questions and getting a little more specific as we go. So as I said, I think responses have been maybe somewhat consistent. So the key takeaways that we have here, people are interested in multi-use trails, staging areas, and shaded seating areas. That's consistent with what we've heard over time for this project and in other projects.
And my last part is, was the ranking of the farm stand, the interest in farm stands, was that what you expected? Because there is sort of a specific interest that people have in that sort of thing. I was surprised that it was not higher.
Yes, with the in-person voting, some people were really drawn, it was interesting. People were kind of really drawn to one of the 4 different areas. Some people found it, really hard to make decisions, but some people really were into that agriculture. And we've asked the board, what goals are resonating with you the most? And it varies. I will say it was interesting also to see that the agricultural amenities, the proposed agricultural amenities in general, were clustered kind of low. But again, if people are coming to us expecting that kind of open space trail sort of experience, maybe it's just, something new for them. But yeah, I hope that. Anything you want to add? Okay, so this is I'm gonna wrap here with this takeaways, with the survey takeaways. So a strong majority, as we covered, a strong majority, over 60% of respondents expressed moderate or higher interest in all the amenities. Again, the strongest interest in those are those things that the Open Space Authority is known for: the multi-use trails, staging areas, and those seating and overlooks in beautiful open space places. Amenities associated with connecting people to restored habitat received the most support. And again, that's consistent with past surveying, where it's really those and experiences from this spring where people are really drawn to that wildlife and the restoration aspects of the project. And then amenities associated with connecting people to agriculture received a more moderate interest. And for all, but we asked about those amenities and kind of as separate. And once we packaged those together as an open space destination, that did get people, that kind of captured imaginations and got people really excited. So at least 60% of respondents indicated that they would be very or extremely interested in visiting these potential destinations. Okay, so I will turn it back to Nick to talk about where we're going next.
Director Kennedy has a question.
Sure, please, yeah.
Of all these people, you have never heard of the Open Space Authority or were already open space junkies?
From the in-person events? Yeah. It was, again, we were hoping to capture new audiences, and I think we were successful in doing that. And yeah, so I would say a lot of new folks that we had heard of. And then some people would kind of, put 2 and 2 together. Oh, like Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve. Have you been there? Or have you been to Sierra Vista? And looking at the 3D map, and I go, oh yeah, I have. Oh, is that? And kind of, connecting the dots of who we were and the open spaces that we have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. And I just want to share my appreciation with Jen. She was, in charge of all these events in a lot of ways, orchestrating everything. And so it was a huge lift to get this off the ground. I'm really excited by all the feedback we've gotten, all the interactions we had. I also want to, before we leave engagement, just really thank Charlotte's team. These were designed in-house by Anna Marie. Like, it's remarkable that we're able to do this in-house. The graphics were designed by our consultants, but the fact that we were able to do all this work and create all this for the public is just something I'm really appreciative of, that we were able to do that. Okay, what's next for CV Camp? So what we surveyed people on, what we've been talking about for the past 6 or so months, This was the dream big phase, right? This was put all the ideas on the table, put it all out there, see what people think. So we had 3 different ideas for how we might restore the habitat. Different ways we might do regional trail alignments. We had these 4 public access destinations, and we had, 3 different approaches for how they might be and different flavors of amenities. And so this was really, we've got all these loose pieces that are right in front of us, really exciting stuff. And what we're doing next is pulling it all together. That's the work of the next year, is to really get it into a holistic concept site plan or conceptual site plan. So that's what we're embarking on. And to start that, we've done some preliminary phasing analysis. So more phasing work is going to come over the next year as we hone that vision, but we've already started to look at, okay, what's rising to the top? So we took all those ideas that you've seen, we broke them down into potential capital projects, and there's like something from 50 to 70 individual projects that could spring out of CV Camp ultimately. And then we sat down with our colleagues at Post in the city and with our consultants, and we just asked ourselves some questions about all these projects. Like, how universal are they? Are they showing up in all the different ideas? Like, they're resonating across the board. Do we have the site control to build some of these things? In some cases, we're relying on city right-of-way to do some of these ideas. Are there requirements that we have to build some of these things? Like a grant requirement for an acquisition says you have to do public access. Well, we should really consider that, obviously. Sequencing. Is it important to do that project first? Because it's foundational to doing other projects later. Urgency. Is there a reason from a wildlife or ecological perspective that it'd be better to do it now, because if we wait longer, it's going to impact the long-term health of that species? Concept readiness. Some of these ideas we've been tossing around for years and years and years, and we have a pretty good sense of what they are. Others are new and novel, and we probably need to think about them some more. Conservation values. How are these different elements of the project achieving our primary and secondary conservation values, which actually govern some of the properties through conservation easements we have with Post? So the primary values, wildlife, habitat, landscape linkage, water. The secondary values, agriculture, public access, interpretation. How directly are these new potential elements serving those? And then last, but definitely not least, community priorities. All this input that we've been getting from the public. How much are these ideas resonating with the public? And then also cost estimates. And we are working on cost estimates right now. We do not have them prepared for you tonight, but all these ideas need to be costed. And we want to wait to do that until they're a little bit more refined. We've got cost estimating tools we're working on right now with Lucas Shellhammer, and we will have information for you on those cost estimates at our next update. So how is that starting to shake out? And again, this is a work in progress. We've kind of broken down the list of projects into 2 very broad categories, and this is subject to change. But the projects that seem to be rising to the top, and we divided them into habitat, water, public access, and agriculture. So the ones that seem to be rising to the top based on those metrics I just described: Laguna Seca restoration, Tulare Meadows restoration, wildlife connectivity improvements on Santa Teresa and Bailey. For public access, the overlook at Laguna Seca, those regional multi-use trails, building out that Hillview hub at the North Caddy Valley Hill, formerly known as Spreckles Hill. On the agricultural side, we want to get farmers out there. We want to get the fields improved so that we can lease them out again and have the infrastructure that the farmers need to use those fallow fields at the Ag Gateway. And then the other projects that are still definitely, we're exploring them, but they need more consideration and planning, which we'll be doing over the coming months, is figuring out the floodplain restoration at Fisher Creek in Mid-Caddy Valley. A native plant nursery. We think that could be a really great thing for the authority to have. Where that goes and the cost benefit of doing that versus contracting out the plants is something that Aaron's team is exploring right now. For public access, kind of needing more consideration, the alignment of those Mid-Caddy Valley trails, the Caddy Valley Field Station, the Welcome Center, the nature play, things that would be new and novel for the agency. How far do we want to take those? And then on the agricultural side, the agricultural gateway, the agritourism features, things like the farm stand, educational barn, and whether we want to take on something like farm manager housing at that site are all things we'll be considering and working on and planning more over the coming months. So what we're doing right now, we are doing more hydrological modeling to make sure the water is going where we want it and not where we don't want it. We're working on those preliminary cost estimates. We are trying to get the street design side of things in partnership with San Jose Department of Transportation up to where all the concepts are for the properties, working on Santa Teresa Boulevard and Bailey Avenue right now in partnership with them. And then the remainder of 26, as I mentioned, developing that holistic conceptual plan, doing more cost estimating, more sharpened pencils, and doing more in-depth phasing, coming back to your board in late 2026 with an update on where we are on those things. And then 27 and 28, really that last round of engagement where we show that holistic concept site plan and then moving into plan document preparation and environmental review. So that concludes our formal presentation. We do have a couple questions for the board to consider, but we're happy to take any questions or comments you want to provide. But we'd particularly like to know if you have any additional takeaways from the engagement based on what you saw in the survey analysis or what you heard if you went out there in any of our events. And then are there any access or amenities, any of these things on the wall that like really you'd like to see staff continue to explore, or you're particularly interested in seeing staff explore further? So those are our questions for you, but we are happy to take any questions you have of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Mayheim, did you want to do it, answer the first, any of the questions that resonate to you?
I did find the analysis that you laid out, the process, exactly what I was looking for in terms of, you know, what projects can we successfully implement that bring us the most bang for the public's buck. And so that the way it was presented, I think, you know, I've tried to describe it. That's exactly what I think we need to do. So that was very exciting. Other than I was a little surprised about some of the survey results for no particular reason based on no knowledge at all. I was surprised or interested. It interested me. And so I find it very helpful because now this is going to help me engage constituents and not make assumptions about what I think they want. So thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Chapman. All right. You know, this is my thing.
Yeah.
She's probably right. Leave me to the end. I mean, for those that don't know, I was on the Coyote Valley Master Plan Task Force back in 2002. So for me, this is something that is bringing that work where we fought to protect and keep the, the city of 50,000 people out and protect Coyote Valley. Now to see this come forward is a dream come true. I mean, it's beyond exciting to me because now we're actually going to be able to touch it and feel it. And oh my gosh. So I think, probably my earlier comments about finding a way to go, reach the younger generation and find out what they're thinking, what barriers, right, are we not thinking about? Maybe do some specialized engagement if the Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action Group or something. I know they're involved. I know they want to do these things. I've been involved in another levels, but how can we get more feedback from them? Or maybe they just don't like to take long surveys.
Take that, Jen.
Yes, I will say we engaged them about the survey. They distributed it in their newsletter, and we offered them a guided hike, and there was interest, and then we didn't.
Yeah. So I said we just have to be. We have to challenge ourselves. I'm always thinking about, because again, the board's got a priority with agriculture. So maybe there's ways to integrate the agriculture into some of the viewing areas. Maybe you have a small area set aside as part of that, which talks about ag, and maybe you have a little farm stand there and says, hey, here's a taste of it. Now go over here on some more, or, there might be a way to play into it a little bit, right? Until you get that going. Cause I have a feeling we did a very good job pushing out the survey and getting people to understand what we're doing. And we had the Measure D conversation kind of going on simultaneously. So people knew what we're doing, but I don't know if there's a focus on the agriculture aspect of it, because it's much more scientific and that's more land-based and more planning-based than it is exciting and a pretty picture.
No, I appreciate the point. And I think Jen was getting to it, but a lot of the things like agriculture, it's novel for a lot of people. They don't think of it as something that we do. And so I think we're definitely still interested in exploring the agritourism functions. It's just a matter of figuring out the right scale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. So, play around with it,
Mhm.
don't let it go. I
Yep.
mean, find a way to integrate that in there because I think it's there. I think people care. And I think we just have to, you have to. I am so excited that you're doing this work, Nick, and Jennifer. I mean, this is phenomenal. And to find out that, we did a lot of this work in-house, that's great too, because that's a cost savings to us that we're not, outsourcing that. And I'm really excited to see how this all comes together and how we can play a role in continuing, because I want to see some of this stuff get built in my lifetime.
Yes. Thank you.
And I wanted to say thank you very much, and having gone to one of the booths that was at a place where people were naturally coming to us, I think that's just such a powerful way of reaching people who may not know about the organization, but to go where people are. It was great. Being at Santana Road was more fun than I've ever had. Everybody wanted to know. Everybody was engaged. The setups were fantastic. I encourage you to do more of that because it really did reach a unique set of people. And there were a lot of people there who English wasn't their first language too, which was really, really nice. So we were able to reach a new group. The other thing is, please continue to put in bathrooms.
Mhm.
Amenities. Really appreciate that because there are a lot of places where you go where there aren't any, and it really makes a difference.
Yes, yes.
So thank you very much. This has been fantastic. Any other comments, questions from board members? And then Carolyn, do we have any other comments?
We do. Jessica Singh, your hand is raised. You may unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, great. My name's Jessica Sang, and I represent Silicon Valley Mountain Bikers. I just wanted to state for our organization that we're super excited about the opportunities here, and just wanted to voice that we really, really appreciate all the work that Jennifer and Nick put into this, and this is just super exciting for us. And yeah, we're just really appreciative of all the work that's gone into this. So thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn, are we ready to take a motion? Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's no motion.
If there are no more comments from anybody? Okay, I think we're ready.
All right, thank you. I think that was just a step, right? Okay, thank you. New business number 4 is to award a contract to Berkeley Search Consultants for RFP 2026-09 for the Executive Search Support Services, and Elizabeth will be presenting. Thank you.
Good evening again, directors. Elizabeth Loretto, Administrative Operations Manager. This last item tonight is to present staff's recommendation that the Board of Directors award a contract for Executive Search Support Services to Berkeley Search Consultants. We recommend them as the most responsible and qualified bidder who meets the needs of the service contract. So on July 6th, the authority posted an RFP for executive search support to seek a consultant who would support the authority's future recruitment of a general manager. Objectives in the RFP include for the selected consultant to really help us complete candidate sourcing and outreach, kind of the headhunting piece of the endeavor. The authority, we did directly invite 4 vendors to respond to the RFP. We also posted it on our website, at our office, and did 2 postings in the San Jose Post-Record publication. And we received 8 responses by our July 16th deadline. After reviewing the proposals received, we recommend the award of contract goes to Berkeley Search Consultants for the duration of the general manager recruitment project. They demonstrated a comprehensive understanding of the RFP by tailoring the proposal to most clearly address the scope of work as defined by the authority, and with an emphasis on adapting to our existing values-based recruitment model that we've used for years. They also have a demonstrated experience in executive search, are part of a very large nationwide network of search firms. And they specifically have done quite a number of searches for government entities here in California. They are Bay Area based. And it would be, the contract would be structured with a base cost of $22,000 and an additional cost of $8,000 per month if there were extended support needed. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
I see no questions from board,
No, yes.
Director
Uh,
Gill.
Yes.
You said $22,000, and then what is the 8,000 per month? What is
So-
the length for 22,000?
It's kind of for that initial search period. There's not a specific length, but it's that initial effort, which we are defining as it's about a 3-month window. And then if it were to extend after that. So if by the time on our planned timeline we'll be working towards, we don't have a pool of applicants and we say to them, we need you to do more, then that would be
So it means a 3 month is a 22,000. If we want to extend that, then 8,000 per month.
effectively. So if we were to need their services, and again, they're for the very earliest portion of the whole project, all the way into January or so, we'd probably be looking at about $60,000, $62,000 at that point. But confident and optimistic that we don't need to extend. But this will give us the flexibility to work with the same consultant through the duration.
So you get only one bid, or
No, we received 8.
this is the cheapest one?
No, but this is the
Oh,
best
so
one.
So you didn't just show the other bids also? Put this in the report?
It's in the report. All 8 proposals were in the report. The pricing though ranged from $5,900, which frankly doesn't give me a lot of confidence that they understand the scope of work because that's so low, all the way up to $50,000. So the 22,000 is very in the middle with others, but again, our emphasis on making this recommendation is on their experience and their skill set and their connection to applicants and databases.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Matthews.
The staff report was pretty, thin.
Okay.
So did you interview all 8 or?
No.
Did you interview any?
No, we just responded. It was a very tight turnaround, so there was not time for an interview process when we determined that the RFP was the route to go, and to be able to bring it to tonight's meeting. So we did not interview, but we, by myself, our legal counsel, and our human resources consultant all reviewed the proposals and discussed our
I
recommendation.
did read all of the applications, that this particular one didn't seem to have a history or record of environmental organizations or land use organizations. And in spite of that, you still, I mean, what is it that made you want to recommend this group?
It was really their understanding of our values-based recruitment model and that they really demonstrated that they understood the niche of the piece of the process that we want them to play in the headhunting piece. And we understand how to get to know applicants in the conservation space and what to do, how to evaluate their ability to work with the board and to understand the objectives that the board is setting out for this position. So we will navigate that through the interview process. And so since we're really just looking for them to help with the marketing and the outreach and the headhunting, the specific niche of environmental was less of an emphasis than the larger government experience component.
I assume these search firms have a vast database of potential candidates.
Correct. And Berkeley Search Firms is a member of an organization called Sanford Rose, who is one of the very largest nationwide recruitment networks, who's been building databases of applicants since the 1950s.
Is there going to be a board committee or an ad hoc committee that works with the staff?
Yes, I understand there already is one who's been identified.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, you certainly had a lot of choices to choose from. They all look impressive. Some didn't have very much experience in Northern California, and some had more environmental placements that they did. I was just curious how you arrived at this particular.
Yeah, it was really that tailoring of, it just felt like they really paid attention to what we asked for in the RFP. They were not adding on additional services and making it hard to navigate how to get what we needed. Because what we need is just that very specific step in the process.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Director Chapman?
I'm looking at the references, but I don't see, are there other successful placements that they've done that we would know about?
Gosh. I'd have to look at it myself. Hold a moment. Not necessarily, they have, well, I don't know, City of Gilroy Public Works Director, somebody might know about that one. Trying to think. I mean, there are not any from like, they did a Mid-Penn or they did an East Bay or any of those agencies that we often really look to as super comparators.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe interview is really, really important when you hire somebody. So, because whatever they wrote on the paper, sometime cannot just believe the paper, right? If, for example, whatever we are expecting from them, they don't deliver, then what we can do?
Well, so that's where we're awarding a contract, which will outlay those
So
expectations.
the time will be, we just waste the time, right? Contract, even though we write the contract, right? Contract will, might be if they don't deliver that, then we can just cancel the contract, right? That's we can do that, or they can just give some kind of compensation to the agency.
I'll defer to legal counsel to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if a vendor who we contract with does not deliver, we can cancel the contract and move on.
That's all, right?
Yeah.
Then what is the time we just spend it?
Yeah, it would cause a delay in our process and our timeline. And again, part of not having time to do the interview was to be able to bring this to this board tonight. If it were not tonight, it would have been next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So, are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this item?
If there are any members of the public joining us via Zoom who would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand. And then we'll call it. Your name.
Thank you very much. Before I entertain a motion, I would like to say that it has been through the work that the board has been doing, we have a timeline that is set. And we gave Elizabeth direction to bring the board tonight, and she did what we asked. And so I want to say thank you very much. I know you had a short amount of time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I do feel very confident in this recommendation. I wouldn't be making it if I weren't.
That's what I figured. Thank you very much. And so with that, I would like to have a motion. By Director Kenneth, seconded by Director Ming-Hyde, and then maybe please call the vote.
Director Kenneth,
Yes.
Director Matthews,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Sutherland,
Yes.
Director Ming-Hyde,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Thank you all very much. That passes unanimous. So Elizabeth, we have more work cut out. Thank you. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is the committee meeting summaries. And Director Kenneth, can you brief us on the land use and stewardship committee?
Yes, we met 2 weeks ago and got a very in-depth presentation from Derek Neumann about how we're planning to mitigate our land's specifically with regards to fire management. And I hope all of you took a look at the short video that Charlotte presented, sent to us. And it was really a visual enhancement of what the difference in grazing can do for our lands. Difference, it's astonishing. So, any members of the committee want to add to that? It's pretty much it was in depth. It took a long time. There's a lot of pieces involved with that. One of the things, they're not going to be slash and burning. They're going to be doing some mastication, which seems to be better for the land. We have the new toy that we're going to implement, and it's going to do a lot of work in a relatively short period of time. There's a lot of work to do. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was at the meeting. It was very topical since we had the fire at Sierra Vista, right, before then. The staff came off as being very competent, very well trained, and raring to go, if not potential firebugs themselves. They were ready to do this. Had their gear ready, they had their underwear ready, they had their signals ready, and they were raring to go. It reminded me of after 9/11, I was trained in emergency preparedness and triage and all that kind of stuff by professional firefighters and ambulance. And they were a little too enthusiastic about their job. They wanted action. They wanted to see what they could do. It reminded me of that. You guys, I have full confidence in you. You're ready to go on the fire side.
Right, and if we do our job right, and looks like we will, we won't have any excitement. Boring. Yes, that's what we're looking for, boring. Anyone else? Question?
I'm with you actually. Actually, the project they are going is called a prescribed fire one. So I asked them, how you guys can do that? And they told like the Call Fire with us city or all those kind of, even they are doing the like the pilot project, 8 or 9 acres first this year's, then they are going to increase the acreage the next year, and then in that way, if this will success. But it's really a great presentation, and Derek did it, and then definitely we asked many questions as usual. So he just gave the answer briefly and then thoroughly. I really like the way if they are doing this project, and definitely I asked them anybody else did that before. He said no, we are just try to we do first time. Let's see how it work. Thank you.
And that's true. It's an ongoing project. It's just job security for those people, if you will, because every year growth. And so it's something we'll never stop doing. Definitely do. There's been a lot of fires, as you know. Even our president has decided to put tariffs on the smoke that's covered the East Coast from the Canada fires, and so we don't want that to happen in our area.
Thank you very much. Sounds like you guys had a great meeting. The next item on our agenda are the informational reports, and we'll begin with the general manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members. I really just have one item I wanted to address, and then I will ask my staff to fill out the news for you. As the board knows, very early this morning, a very broad announcement went out to probably over 400 people in the region and at the state, informing them that as of December 2026, I'll be stepping down from my position. And you know, you really only get to say a deep-hearted, a sincere thank you once. And the timing is everything. And I know this board knows that this has been coming for quite some time, and it was really important to wait till after the June election to do this and then after that was successfully completed, and given what we heard tonight, the board's interest in rapidly moving forward a recruitment process, there was a very small window to thread that needle and do it right. And so the last 2 days has been a fire drill. And I could not have felt more comfortable about how the announcement was made and the care that went into it. And I just wanted to say thank you to the staff, and particularly to Mark and to Charlotte, and particularly Charlotte. They've spent the last 2 days with me, nose to the grindstone, to make sure that we did this right, and that everyone that we've affected as an agency over these last 15 years felt special and recognized, and emphasizing that it does take a village to do this work. But even before the fire drill of the last 2 days, when I was away on vacation, Charlotte and Mark were hard at work to try and capture as much of the announcement as they could so that I could work with them to finalize it. There's things that we all don't see happening behind the scenes that take a lot of sweat and tears and love to do. And this staff here at this agency is just top notch. And this board is very lucky to have them, and so is this community. So I really just wanted to say thank you for that. And now it's kind of done, and we can move on to the next steps. But you know, to see this morning a press release go out, an email message to every one of our partners we've ever worked with over the last 15 years, to see posts on Instagram that my 24-year-old daughter remarked at 8 a.m. this morning. Oh my gosh, there goes Anna Marie again. Look at what she's done. So thank you to our staff. And there'll be a lot more time to talk about this. And thank you to the board for your support of me all along the way. And I know we're doing this process right going forward. Congratulations on the work tonight. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the hard work you did. It was a bit of a fire drill as well. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Mark.
Good evening, directors. Mark Landgraf, Assistant General Manager. I don't know how I can quite follow that. But thank you for those remarks, Andrea. I totally agree with you. We have an amazing staff here at the Open Space Authority, and the public is very lucky to have them. I do have some technical updates to make, so bear with me, but important information to convey to you. So our staff recently submitted a grant application requesting $14.5 million for Coyote Valley transfers from Post using Prop 4 funds from the Coyote Valley Conservation Program specifically, and Coastal Conservancy staff are planning to recommend that grant to their board for full funding at their September board meeting. So it's not a done deal, but so far very hopeful. And then some updates about legislation. So we are expecting to get a $14 million appropriation from the legislature and with support from the governor for the Coyote Valley Conservation Program, so that the Coastal Conservancy has that money to provide to the Open Space Authority in September. Expecting that to move forward, but so far so good, I would say. Also, $15 million allocation for the Local Food Purchase Assistance Program, LFPA, that had been gutted in the federal funding over the past couple of years. Every time we were in DC the last 2 years, we did express support for that program that helps local farmers. But right now the state is supporting that with a significant budget allocation. Also, the bill that extends the Prop 4 APA exemption, that's the exemption that allows Coastal Conservancy, Wildlife Conservation Board, and other agencies to moves smoothly through the process. That was exempted for 1 year last year, and now it's moved forward for future years, including the grant that I mentioned earlier that we hope to get from Coastal Conservancy. One update on local projects I wanted to make is that we've heard recently that AES, who is proposing a battery energy storage system in Coyote Valley, is now considering other sites. We have not heard confirmation of that news, but it is encouraging news. So please take that with a grain of salt at the moment, but in the meantime, it is encouraging. So we will continue to update your board as we hear more. The Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve Expanded Public Access Project. This is the Harsh Delight Trail. Construction is underway with major trail earth moving set to begin next week. Land Use and Stewardship Committee will be reviewing construction progress the week of August 17th. And staff has been coordinating messaging about the temporary closures through digital means, I think with the communication department facilitating all of that public information. Environmental review is currently underway for the trail and backcountry camping concept designs for the Rancho Cañada del Oro regional trails. And staff will provide a project update to your board about that project at the next meeting in August. Those are my updates.
Thank you. Good evening, directors. Lee Rauscher, Assistant General Manager, privileged to serve under Andrea McKenzie and be part of this amazing staff. Wanted to take a moment to thank the directors for your list of priorities and let you know that staff has eagerly dug in. And so a couple of updates for you. At your next meeting in August, you'll be hearing several items. One about fund types and their legal obligations. It's a lot more fun than that may sound. Justina and Bill are going to bring you that item. External funding, otherwise known as grants. So Megan Draker and again, Justina. And then a recommendation for rebuilding the reserve fund. Guess who? Justina, but with myself. And probably with some help from Bill, will come to you. Additionally, management and strategy team will be looking at our work plan. Was suggested that perhaps there are items on there we won't get to, and so we will do a review and bring a result back to your board. Also, I thought you might enjoy hearing a little update on the Measure D exemption requests. As of yesterday, 237 requests have been received. 229 have been approved. One was denied because the applicant simply wasn't old enough yet. I hope they take that as a compliment. We've got five requests that just needed more information and 2 pending processing. So it's been going at a rather quick clip to get requests approved. And just out of interest to you, 166 of those requests came through the portal. So good use, and 70 applications were received by mail or email. That's my update for, one other quick thing. There's one other requirement we need to notify parcel owners living outside the jurisdiction about this tax. That postcard will go out towards the end of August. It will include a QR code that will link back to our website where folks can translate the postcard information into one of, I think, 6 languages on our website. That is the end of my update. Really?
I just have one quick question. Are you the lead person for this? Because I was speaking to somebody at the county assessor's office earlier today.
Yeah.
Okay, I will make sure that I do that connection. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Director Hunt.
So the number of exemption applications, was that sort of in line with what we estimated? Or it sounds lower than what we estimated.
We really didn't have an estimate, and this is about 22 days in. So it's not very many requests yet, but we really don't have an estimate. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I can add, if I may, so the only data that we did have is, I think as I mentioned in a previous board meeting from the San Jose Unified School District that had a similar exemption program as we extrapolated that data out to the size of our jurisdiction. You know, it would have amounted to around 2,000 applications initially, and then another 1,000 per year afterwards. So yeah, this is significantly under what those expectations were.
Thank you. Good evening, Director Charlotte Graham, Public Information Manager. Just briefly following up from the announcement this morning, I just wanted to note that the public response has been so lovely and supportive, with lots of congratulatory notes and gratitude coming in. And thank you, Director Sutherland, for being so responsive during our fire drill and providing your quote. As Andrea mentioned, in addition to the press release, we shared the news through a blog post, which is linked on the homepage of our website. A special email went out to our volunteers, which was much appreciated. And you can find those social media posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And again, just so much appreciation for Andrea and just everything that she's helped us accomplish. So. And then also, as we mentioned earlier, Prescribed Fire, the communications team is really laying the groundwork for that work that's going to start happening in the fall. So we've been doing that across our website, newsletter, social media. Avery Cruz, our communications coordinator, has put together a couple of really strong videos that I recommend watching and sharing. One covers the conservation grazing program that we do through our natural resources team as a fire prevention tool, and featuring one of our grazers, Clayton. And the other video features covered the Sierra fire, and it featured Luis and Oliver, two of our amazing field staff members who were on the scene that night. They helped evacuate the preserve, and they were the ones who notified first responders. So there's a lot more coming as we head into the fall. Thank you.
Yeah, that's some of my thunder too. It's great. I'll mention that this week our Mary Paul, our Habitat Program Manager, started, and she's getting a tour of all the fuel management and wildfire work. I'm glad Director Kennett highlighted the new toys we have. We're making good progress on the PL 566 fire break. As the board may recall, this is a big piece of equipment with a sort of masticator that chews up the vegetation. And when you're trying to reduce, fuel and flame length for first responders over like miles of road, it's a very large scale. So I'm glad we were able to get that grant previously and get that funded. So really exciting stuff. Mary went out today with Andy Burnside and Santa Clara County Fire, touring some of our prescribed fire projects, as well as looking at some of the other sort of regional fuel stuff. So I'm very excited. I'll introduce her next month. I believe the full board will receive that presentation that Derek gave regarding prescribed fire. So I think, as maybe someone mentioned, there was a 50-acre fire at Tulare Hill the other day. So 'tis the season, and glad we're stepping up and increasing the pace and scale of this work. Thank you.
Good evening, and directors. No further updates, but in the audience was Cynthia, one of our many wonderful volunteers who helped us do Coyote Valley Discovery Days. So just want to take an opportunity to also acknowledge our volunteers and education team, and just what a privilege it is to do planning and community engagement in this community of wonderful people who do this work together. So thank you.
Hello again, directors. Last time you'll hear from me tonight. Just two quick things. As you've kind of been teased in this round robin right now, the August 27th board meeting is looking to be quite robust. So staff is looking into the possibility of starting that meeting at 5:30 p.m., given the number of preliminary topics that we're looking at. So rather than keep you too late, we wanted to see if you'd be available to start earlier. So I'm planting that seed now, but Caroline will follow up with you tomorrow when you've had a chance to make sure you can, how you can accommodate that. And then my other always favorite topic, we do in fact have an active recruitment right now for an executive assistant. This is a position, many of you will remember Joelle Garrettson was in it for years and years and years, and it's kind of had some temporary assignments and variable. These last, I guess, just about a year now, I think that since Joelle, vacated the role, but it's, time to backfill it again, and this time we are backfilling it as a permanent position, not any kind of temporary arrangement or anything like that. So we always ask for your support to share that opportunity, and you do have it in your inbox. Thank you.
Thank you. Now's the time for, board member reports, and I'd like to take this in a little bit of a different direction for this evening. And so, as many of you know, the board has been doing a lot of retreats, doing a lot of work about our role in the organization. And I would like to give the opportunity for each board member to talk about why you're here, why this matters to you, and what special skills, because we all have different ones, that we bring to the board so that our view is expanded. And so, I'm gonna start at this end, Director Chapman.
Oh, the talkative one tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of got my foray into very large city planning when I was placed on the Coyote Valley Task Force. And I'm going to really date myself. The mayor at that time was Ron Gonzalez. But I also served on the San Jose Park Commission as well, which I was recommended by then Councilmember Ken Yeager. So I've been at this a long time. But what I learned in those two roles as a park commissioner and then which transitioned to a task force member for Coyote Valley was when you have values that you want to adhere to and something you want to protect, you fight for it. And you may not find the first door to go through and it may not work that way, but you find a different door, you find a different avenue. And it may have taken us 6 years with Coyote Valley, but we found that avenue. And it also helped that the EIR came out and it was so expansive that, you know, the cost was prohibitive to build out there. But it allowed the community that was kind of being overshadowed by the development community, the environmental community, to find their voice. And so I think once you learn that, you learn to find your voice and you learn to find other battles. And so, you know, a recent activity, so I kind of probably see my turn my head when she said AES, is that I had a recent meeting for one vacation with a member of CalPERS and Andrea, myself, and the consultant, and we talked to CalPERS about, you know, why do you want to invest with AES? They're not really nice company, and, you know, and kind of give them an update because we were standing up for what we felt that this was not the right project, not the right location. And that conversation went very well because the person in that room understood our values and also exhibited the same values. So I think it's, you know, it's what I bring to the board is a sense of purpose and a sense of fighting for what I believe in. And I just want you to know that.
Director Gill?
As you all know that I'm immigrant. I'm not born in this country. So, but definitely I born in a farmer families. So my parents is agriculture. We have agriculture land there. And I love agriculture. That's why always whenever anybody is saying agriculture, then I always jump in. Because in my childhood, I work in the field before I go to school. But my parents really want me to go to school, but I don't want. But still, I just fulfill their whatever they just thinking. I did 2 bachelor there, 2 master, and 2 PhDs. 1 PhD, 1 in healthcare. So why I choose to be the board of director here? Because I was thinking if we can protect the land, then definitely we can protect the humans' health as well. I don't know, might be I'm wrong or right, but scientifically is it saying that if we have one tree provide the oxygen for 2 persons. So we don't want everywhere is a housing. We need the open space, and I feel it. If I join the board, definitely I can do something for the community. So that's the main reason. Last 20, I think 20 years I'm on the board. Even though I have a lot of other things to do during my days job, work as a healthcare providers, free service to the community, and I'm co-founder of couple softwares company. But my main goal is to become as board members, then I can help the community for their health. That's the main reason I'm on the board.
Well, as I like to say, it's in my DNA. It's just what I do and what I am. I learned early on, or in 5th grade, our teacher, my grade school was 1 block off of in San Francisco. And he, the mayor at the time wanted to build condominiums right there in the park. So, each wrote a letter to the mayor. And it turned out, of course, you believe everything your 5th grade teacher tells you, right? And it worked because of us, of course. And of course, the condos never got built. And the park is still the park. So I realize there's something you can do if you decide to do it. That's why I'm. Had a friend of his, also lived in the neighborhood, grew up in the neighborhood where my school was. And his name was Mr. Adams, and he brought some pictures to class one day, really cool pictures. I read about him in the paper. Mr. Adams' first name was Ansley. And so it just went on from there, and then for my 15th birthday, I begged, borrowed, and mostly stole $150. I became a life member of the Sierra Club, which today I think you have to mortgage your house to do that. So it was a really good investment. So there's a lot more than that, but anyway, it's what I do, why I have here and what I do.
Matthews.
Well, I've been on this path for many decades, and it's always the same path. Sometimes the factors change and the mission changes, but it's always been the same. When I first moved to San Jose, there was a mayor, Janet Gray Hayes, and she said, San Jose needs to grow up before it grows out. And that resonated with a lot of people, particularly women. She went on to lead our city as the feminist capital of the world. And all these wonderful women who got on the city council were environmentalists. They started recycling. They started a tree canopy over the city to cool our city down. They worked on all kinds of issues that were considered women's issues or family issues. And now, of course, they're mainstream. And so I joined that path as a spectator. Eventually, I got to participate myself, where we stopped hillside development in the Berryessa Hills, right below Sierra Vista. We put a green line around the city. We stopped the creeks from being changed into box culverts, like they did in Los Angeles for flood control. Rather, we said maintain the natural beauty of the creeks, find another way, which they did. We heard words we had never heard before, like view shed. Didn't know exactly what that meant, but it's been the same path, the same mission since I've been here all of these years. So I'm so at home here. It just seems like it's the same thing we're doing, but it's evolutionary. We keep finding new things to do. Now it's access. It's the new word, rewilding. It's return to agriculture. It's a wonderful place to live. And this organization is exemplary in that. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'll just keep on this path with all the rest of you for as long as I can be.
Okay, so it all began 42 years ago when a little baby planner graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And I came to work for Santa Clara County. And I was in the, what they called advanced planning division, which is general plan. And sort of the attempt to stop development as opposed to help developers. And at the time, I was really fortunate to work on stuff like hillside preservation and the ag preservation study. And I worked on the trail master plan, the first trail master plan for the county. And I love that stuff. It was the perfect occupation for a city girl who didn't want to be a city girl. I grew up in San Francisco. And then I got, after the Loma Prieta earthquake, I got the opportunity to work at the Board of Supervisors level, and then was the land use aid for, I hold the record, 4 members of the Board of Supervisors. So I was able to work for the 4 members who represented the land that was yet to be developed. So that would be District 5 and District 1. And I love that. But somehow my path took a different course. I ended up working for the federal government, and then for an organization that dealt with public health. And I sort of lost my bearing, and never sort of thought I was going to get it back, because once you get into that other line of work, you stay there until they bury you. And then I had this opportunity to join this board, and it felt like coming home. I felt good all the time, and I'm getting kind of emotional. You know, you don't always get a chance to come back to where you want to be, especially when you're at a stage in your life where you have bills to pay and to be responsible for. And so the chance to come back and to see what has happened and under Andrew's leadership, everything that you had hoped for taking place. And I was part of the original group who worked to establish the Open Space Authority, and back then it was just some maps and a paper and a couple people in an office. And to see this, not just the commitment and joy, but every time you look at that map. When I started, there was nothing on those maps. And so me being here is like coming home, but also having a tremendous responsibility to make sure that we continue the legacy from our fearless leader and get more than double again, before, I am too old to serve, see a significant addition to our acquisitions. So that's why I'm here.
And I think, unlike many of you, I grew up here. So I grew up really close to the Pierce Dairy when it was a dairy, and I knew the family, and I remember going into the milking barns and watching that whole process, and going into the barn that's still up there on the trail. So being connected to open space is just part of who I am. I was a Girl Scout leader for 10 years, and I took girls out into the woods camping every year. And I know that my daughters can go camping and are not going to set the woods on fire. And neither are any of the girls who are in my troop. But what keeps me here is the culture of this organization. It is welcoming. It is thoughtful. It values diversity. It knows that everybody, no matter who they are, deserves access to open spaces. And we also reflect the values of the people who live in our district, because no matter what the chatter's saying, when you talk to people about open space, they love it. They're glad we're doing what we do. And as you've also heard, this is the long game. None of this happens probably within a decade. And so all of us here have been committed to doing something for preserving open space for a long time. And I think we're going to be here for a long time more, because this is not this is a long game, and if we're not here remembering what happened 10, 20 years ago, there are gonna be other people who are gonna come and say, I have the answer, and it's not gonna be the right answer. And so being able to be a part of an organization that plays the long game, that's innovative, that knows how to get things done, that knows how to be a force, is where I want to be, and it's where I want to give my time. And now we have another round. You all have to listen to this tonight. It's all right. The other one is Andrea. So we all received the notice, and it was the most lovely notice I've read. It was so heartwarming. And so I guess I'll start this off. Andrea, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have this opportunity. I wouldn't be able to serve in a way that I think is meaningful and will make long change. And so I do want to thank you for your leadership. It's not just me, but it's also this organization. You have taken it to a place where it needed to be, but I don't know if anybody thought we would actually get there. So it is with complete admiration and thanks that I want to honor you and what you've brought to us and all of us sitting here at this table, because it's been amazing. So thank you very much. And
I'm gonna try hard not to get emotional. Yes, I woke up this morning and looked at my phone and went, oh, there it is. You know, we knew this day was coming. I mean, some of us had known this day was coming for a while, but it's still hard. It still hits you when you see it. Andrea, from my heart, you have provided me a place to do what I love. You don't get that opportunity. Oh, I try hard. You don't get that opportunity very often. I've had many jobs where I didn't like the job. I did the work, but I didn't love the job. I love this job. You can't take it out of me. And you have taken that, my heart, and expanded it. And I think, you know, we've done some fabulous things together, some great work together. And I am never, ever going to forget that. And I've also seen the growth of the staff here, that she's done that with you. She's taken the best of you and your love of the work you do and taken it to another level. And so I think together, you know, we're going to do some really good things. We're going to get that plan, Nick. I mean, we're going to get that plan. So thank you. I mean, you've given me an opportunity of a lifetime to do what I love. I mean, I wish, you know, my parents were around to see it, because they, you know, they were like Save Gateway Valley. And if you go back, that was, you know, stopping the freeway from cutting across the Berkeley Hills. My mother was involved in that. You know, but they'll never get to see this. And I say it to my husband all the time. They'll never get to see where we are now, but I think up there they probably do. And it's an honor of a lifetime to serve on this board. So thank you. And thank you for all the work you've done. And I'm sure you're not done. I'm sure you'll find somewhere to share your experience and values.
There you go.
Actually, it's not a surprise to me when I just read the email this morning, because we know one day you have to be announced there. But I don't want to say anything at this point, because you still have with us December 26th, right? I have lots of memory, and I think I will share on that time. But I can only say today, Director Kenneth and I, only the two board members with you since you start 2011. And during that journey, we saw so many ups and down. Agency has that, and we work together. And then I still remember that on that time we have only 12,000 acres of land and has only 10 or 11 employees. If I just correctly remember that, but you can look at that. Now we have more than 30,000 and 65 employees. It's a tremendous improvement. Andrea did it. And I don't want to say right now, but 26 December, we can say a lot of other things. But now, thank you very much for the work you did it, and really miss you. Believe or not, that long journey, 20 years journey, we cannot just say, oh, she's leaving now. Still remember in our hearts. Thank you.
Dating myself, when I say you're the third general manager I've served with. And I'm about the fourth. But that's how it goes. And if, like I said this morning to you, it's wasn't for what you've done over 15 years, you wouldn't be here. When I joined the board was bigger than staff. And we weren't really doing anything, but thought it along, and we picked you, and here we are. So we're your babe and your legacy. So I look forward to carrying that on, and I know you'll always be there.
Well, thank you, Andrea. This is not about your job. This is not about your life. This is about your legacy. And the legacy is 30,000 acres, and it's, I don't know how many miles of trails. It's the view shed. It's the wildlife, it's the habitat, it's all of it, and it's all the employees that are here that you've viewed with a love of the job that you're doing, that you've mentored, that you've inspired all of us. So that'll keep going on, and we'll see you around, I'm sure.
Well, I haven't had the privilege of working with you very long, but I will say that the organization that you created is, I never want to say the best, but it is pretty much got to be up there with the best that I've ever worked with and that I've ever observed. And being in my previous professions, I tend to be very cynical. You can always find something snarky to say about a governmental entity or an elected official or something. There is nothing snarky that can be said about the Open Space Authority, and that is a tribute to Andrea and the staff and the board. And Andrea was a big reason why I sought the appointment to join, because the Open Space Authority, it is of the highest integrity, and it isn't just it doesn't just believe in good things, it gets good things done. And that is very rare. There is no drama here. There is no controversy here. And that is very unusual. And I think a lot of my fellow board members can agree that what you've created is so special and has set the bar so high. And I don't think it is our job now to keep it that way. We can't fail you. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Minghai. I think your closing was perfect. And with that, oh, sorry, legal counsel.
You're gonna do this to me?
You know?
I mean, I can't top that, so.
I can't either.
No.
We're adjourned at 9:11. Thank you all.